Hey, Shalom Akim, Yahoo, Basham, Yahoo Shai, Basham, Rakan Kadash, Barakatham, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Mystery and Real Well. This is Bram Nasher, JC Camp, another lesson for the hopeful elect. The incidents in South Africa where you have the children of Ham, the Canaanites, being upset that they're not able to enjoy the fruits of the resources in their country. It's just making them upset. Now they have to rise up against other nationalities, especially the other so-called Africans, in their country, man. So you have lots of Jakes that go down there to South Africa to restart their life, to rebuild their lives. Just like they always people always look for greener pastures. So when these so-called you know Africans over there in South Africa begin to have jealousy and envy, they have to find an easy target, and that's what they do. They've been beaten down psychologically, but they cannot rise up against Esau. They cannot rise up against Elam. And they've been treated like zombies in their own land. And that's one thing they cannot stand, man. There are foreigners, from all these other African countries are able to do something with their time, with their energy, with their focus, and not knowing that it's all spiritual, man. It's all scriptural. Just like you remember, because the Lord had to put, the Lord had to, why you say it, man? The Lord had to grant Noah after the flood, because Noah was in a state of depression. He had some strong drink, and what did Ham do? He chuckled at the nakedness of his father, and the once he got wind of it, once he became sober, he had to you know chastise him, by putting his son, putting his son under a curse, and that's what South Africa has to deal with, man. The curse of Canaan is upon them, and it's right there. The book of Genesis, chapter 9 and 20. It says, "And Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and it was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness." All right, and then verse 24 says, "And Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his youngest son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren." So that's the issue South Africa got to deal with, man. They always gonna be holding the positions at the bottom. They can't rise like Jakes in other African countries, man. They're not really at the top when it comes to achievement. Because the Messiah has set a limit, to their excellence. That's why that spirit of jealousy overwhelms them when you see their women, falling in love with Jakes from West Africa, man. And they see Jakes from Nigeria, Congo, Ghana, even Kenya, Zimbabwe, you know, set roots in their country. They open up businesses. They come with qualifications, and then they can't handle it. In less than 10 years, Drake has already moved up the ladder. And then, even when you watch the documentaries, man, you see how they live in shanty towns and all that stuff, despite all the natural resources that they have. So when they see that other foreigners, especially Jakes, are beginning to move up, they feel, dejected, and then they resort to jealousy, on attacks, and that's what happens. Yeah, and they roam around in gangs to do what you call immigration checks, and see how they beat Jacob, man. They block them from having their children, enter facilities, whether it's a government building, healthcare facility, wherever, man. So now that momentum is just, you know, being being used to push out Jakes. They want all so-called foreigners, from our African countries to return to their land. That's by saying that they should go to develop their own country. But at the end of the day, man, they've forgotten that they had the opportunity to do so, but Esau is too cunning for them to to overcome. So that's the issue. That's why a lot of people go to South Africa. They're able to enjoy the amenities that this Edomites can enjoy. But these, Canaanites over there, man, they can't. If someone comes from a foreign country to hunt on their reserves, poaching and all that stuff. All these wild and exotic animals get smuggled out of the country, and they blame they blame all these so-called migrants. So at the end of the day, man, whether the migrants have papers or not, they don't really care, man. They've expressed that position, and the government has always said that it's not constitutional for them to do so. But they don't care, man. So that's why our forefather Noah, put a curse upon Canaan for what Ham did. That's why he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren." So now, the spotlight is on Canaan. You have all these Amalekites just setting up shop in the country of South Africa, man. They're having their own estates and all that stuff, and then they can't do nothing. They can't do nothing. So, at the end of the day, they can't they can't gain any traction until the Lord, pulls that dark cloud from over their heads.
Mama, is a passport or now I go for passport?
I-operation yethu sithini put South Africans first because inkinga isinayo i-influx yama-foreigners is too much and i-medication iyashorta and ama-South Africans kumele ajike ngokuthini i-medication ishodile ekubeni kune-foreigner eliphambili elithole i-medication. Ma ngizojikisa owase-South Africa ngithi akayephi because i-foreigner lisenendawo la lingabuyela khona. So lo wala ekhaya
Yeah, so you see, so they have to stand outside a healthcare facility checking people's documentation. So that's how low, these Canaanites have fallen, all that stuff. So now they're upset. They're upset that they can't rise. And, they're just envious. They're just envious. Because, when we had to go into the land of Israel, you already knew exactly what land it was before, it was the land of Canaan. They had to be pushed out. That's the reason why they can't they can't seem to make any headway, man. It's just hilarious. Yeah. So I get another precept. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So it's gonna be from the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12. It says in verse 1, "For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things, therefore chastenest thou them by little and little that offend, and warnest them by putting them in remembrance, wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness they may believe on thee, O Lord. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of the Holy Land, whom thou hatest, for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children, and devourers of man's flesh, and the feasts of blood." So it's a reason why, the Lord had to give us the order to purge that land, man. We had to make a sore slaughter of the Canaanites, man, out of a land that the Lord wanted to sanctify. The Lord wanted to sanctify. So that's one of the issues, man. That the Lord has always pressed. When the Lord needs to have a cleanup, something has to happen. There has to be an expulsion, of wickedness, and that's the situation that we are seeing, and upon the face of the earth. The power of Esau has to be purged out, man. So there has to be a slaughter of Esau. That's how the Lord has mentioned it to happen. Okay. That's why you have the scriptures in Isaiah chapter 14. All right. So I'll read it real quick, man. That's the bitterness of the scriptures. Isaiah 14 and 21. It says, "Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities." So that's the judgments of the Lord just going forth, man. So it's just one of those situations you have to be aware of. It's painful, but it's what happens. Yeah, it's what happens when the Lord decides to, make correction. So let's see if another scripture to add on to that. Let's see. Yep, Second Ezra chapter 16 and 19. It says, "Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment." So that's how the Lord brings about change. He has to allow, his wrath to be visited upon the people. So let me just fast forward and then I'll play the clip.
We are here to support Operation Dudula to hand over their memorandum to one, the Human Rights Commission, and secondly to the Helen Suzman Foundation. These organizations in our country, they are unpatriotic. They do not support anything that our South Africans are supporting. For instance, the Human Rights Commission, if they were for human rights, most of our South Africans, in the conditions that they live in, the conditions are very dire. The poverty line is very dire. These are the issues that they should be addressing, but they are not. They are not. In fact, they are actually protecting the people that are coming from outside, who are foreign nationals, and most of them who are undocumented.
Yeah, man. So that's what is going on over there, man. So eventually, lots of jakes that decided to set up roots over there, man. They're gonna have to leave sooner or later when the chaos gets too much for them, man. Yeah, because lots of jakes, have fell victim. I mean, you could watch the other videos online, see how they attack people, and they feel, I make them feel undesirable. While Esau is being at the top, you know, just enjoying his riches, just like you have the folks that control the mines and all that stuff. You have the Oppenheimers. They're just cruising all over the place. So these Canaanites, man, are gonna go for the easy targets, which is the migrants, especially Jakes, from West Africa, even Zimbabwe, Tanzania, and all that stuff. Even other Hamites too, even other Canaanites. So it's just going to be confusion. So that's about it. The scripture talks about people, want to separate themselves to be among their own people. That they going to return to their own lands. So that's the vibration, that you're gonna see, man. It's getting ugly. So that's the point of this lesson, Baratiza. We just see what else happens. Shalom.